Hey, welcome back and welcome to this week's edition of Fat Loss Secrets. I am Angela Derrick. I'm the founder of Fit Life Coaching. I am also a certified macronutrition coach. I'm an eating behavior coach, and I am here to help support you with the best tips, the best strategies, the best way for you to be able to approach diet, weight loss, and fat loss so that you can build the body of your dreams and ultimately have success. Today, we're going to be talking about 2 keys for diet success. And these are 2 secrets that, in my opinion, are make and break. They are the difference makers when it comes to being able to be successful with sticking to your diet and actually getting to your weight loss goals and actually being able to eventually build the body that you would like to be able to build. If you've got goals to lean out or to tone up or to build a little bit of muscle or to, like make your belly fat disappear or build some great arms, things like that. These 2 keys have to be in place for you to be able to ultimately make that happen. And the reason I wanted to discuss this today is because so many dieters may do the opposite of what I'm going to teach you. And they make these 2 mistakes. Instead of using these 2 areas as key, they actually, these 2 areas become huge mistakes. And it becomes the reason why they're unable to be successful. It becomes the reason why they're unable to ultimately stick to things or be consistent or figure out how to put the pieces together so that they can actually make progress, know how to make progress consistently, and then be able to say, well, I want to do this, and then go do it and have the confidence to know, well, I want to build my arms. I know how to build my arms. I'm going to build my arms, right? And actually mark a goal off and complete it and finish it. And it really comes down to the way that you approach and understand your diet in general. And I'm going to talk about diet from 2 different standpoints. I'm going to talk about it, number 1, from being in a calorie deficit, which is how most of us think of diet, as in I am dieting to lose weight, right? But I'm also going to refer to it in terms of your overall nutrition plan or how you eat, in general in life. So I'll try to kind of make a distinction. The reason why so many people struggle to stick to their diet and then struggle to ultimately, even if they get to their goal weight, they really struggle with yo-yoing back and forth, up and down, don't know how to maintain it, don't know how to find that balance between being on a diet and eating normally and things like that, is because they don't practice these 2 key principles. And number 1 is their diet and the way they eat on a diet looks very different from the way that they would eat if they're not on a diet. So there's a huge and distinct, like, night and day difference between I'm on a diet, so therefore now I'm only eating these clean foods. I'm not eating any bread. I'm cutting out all these carbs. I'm only eating protein and vegetables. Like, there's a huge, big shift that happens when they decide to go on a diet. And there's all of these foods now that they no longer can have. Foods now that they are throwing away. Foods that they're no longer being able to participate in. And that kind of sets up this all or nothing type of a mentality. Oh, I need to lose weight. I'm going to diet. So now we've got this big line. All of these foods are now off limits. I can only eat these foods, which now means I can't do these things in my life. I can only do these things in my life. And now if I go over here and I eat these foods, I failed on my diet. And now we've set up this pass fail, like perfectionism. This is, good, bad kind of a system with eating. And the problem with that is when you're not allowed to have, let's say, cake, when you're not allowed to have ice cream, when you're not allowed to have bread or carbs, when you're not allowed to eat any sugar, things like that. Well, what are you constantly going to start thinking about? What are you constantly going to start noticing? Well, all of them are able to eat, or how am I going to handle this social event, right? It becomes a barrier for the rest of your life. And now we start to fixate on all the things we can't have, because that's not how you normally live your life. That's not how life was before you decided to diet. So you're making this extreme sacrifice, and now there's this extreme change, and that creates a lot of additional stress. When I decide to do I call it a cut, or when I decide to diet for a few weeks because I've got a fat loss goal or an aesthetic goal or some kind of a physique or fitness goal, right? The way I eat in a diet doesn't look any different than the way I eat in normal life. The only difference between the food choices that I make when I'm dieting and the food choices that I make when I'm not dieting is just how much. I'm still eating healthy food, but I'm also still eating carbs. I'm still eating fats. I'm still eating cheese. I'm still eating sugar. I'm still having ice cream. I'm still able to eat cake. I'm still having cookies from time to time. I literally had Oreos before recording this, and I'm doing a cut right now. It's that I have figured out a template for eating so that I can fit those foods in when I want to fit those foods in. And I'm also making the majority of my foods coming from nature-made, healthy, whole foods so that it's a nice balance of both. So I'm eating a lot of the foods that are going to help my body lose fat and keep me balanced, keep me feeling good and energized. But if I'm going to a social event and I want ice cream, or the family's going out to Sweet Frog or frozen yogurt and I want to have some, I know how to make that work as well. So I don't feel deprived and I can keep it balanced. So the way I normally eat my normal life, whether I'm on a diet or not, is completely the same. The rules, the type of foods I eat, the type of selections I make, totally the same as when I'm dieting. And there's not this huge, crazy change, this huge, crazy mental shift between, oh, I'm dieting, I have to be good, I have to be focused, I have to not be tempted, I can't eat cake in the conference room anymore, and that's not what I do. That's not how things work in my world. I eat the way I want to eat all the time. And so the only change is, oh, I'm in a deficit now. So instead of eating 2,500 calories a day for maintenance, I'm going to eat 1,800 calories a day because I've got a goal. And whatever I eat that I want to have is going to fit into those 1,800 calories instead of 25. When I'm not dieting, then I'm eating 25. So there's a little bit more room for some of the extras, but I'm still making the same selections. I'm still eating chicken. I'm still eating eggs. I'm still eating egg whites, still eating Greek yogurt. I'm still eating vegetables, still eating sweet potatoes, because I actually like those foods. And so the first principle is you do not want to be dieting vastly different from the way you normally want to eat in everyday life. You want to set up your fat loss diet so that it's going to look exactly the same as your diet when you're not trying to lose fat. So you're not making this huge distinction, this huge change. You're not having do not eat lists. You're not feeling deprived. You're not telling the only thing that you should be looking forward to when you get off the diet is, oh, I just get to eat a little more. It's not like, oh, I can have crumble cookie when I'm off this diet. Well, no, you should be able to have it on your diet too. You just have to learn how to build it in. We just have to learn how to make it work alongside the other foods, the protein, and still hit those goals. It's called flexible dieting. And when I stopped trying to do all these crazy clean eating diets and no sugar diets, tilapia and broccoli 6 times a day type of diets, like I'm trying to do a fitness competition, but all the time, right? When I gave all that up and I started to just be like, how do I want to eat every day? And how do I make my template work for how I want it, my fat loss template work for how I want to eat and live every single day, staying in compliance, staying consistent, being able to follow it, it became so much easier. It really took the pressure off. And then the great thing about approaching the diet that way, when you're not cutting anything out, when it's just exactly how you always eat, is when you go off the diet, you're not tempted to binge. You're not trying to go off the rails because you weren't allowed to have any of this stuff. And now you're allowed to have it. And now I'm going to eat it all back. No, I fit pizza into my diet. So I'm never deprived for pizza. I remember, let me just kind of back up into a little story. I remember my first competition that I did, bodybuilding competition. It was bikini. And that was when I was doing the chicken and tilapia 6 times a day, or I'm sorry, tilapia and broccoli 6 times a day. I didn't even get chicken initially. I hate tilapia. That's why I hate tilapia now. Can't eat it anymore. But in that competition, the only thing I could think about, it wasn't getting a trophy. It wasn't how good I looked on stage. It wasn't even confidence. It wasn't even, wow, look what I've achieved. No, I wasn't focused on any of that stuff. The only thing I wanted was to get off stage and eat pizza. And I ate pizza for like 3 days after doing that first competition. Why? Because I was so deprived and the reward became eating pizza. That's the exact opposite of what you want to do, because that's going to ruin the physique that you built. Instead, we want to figure out how we can temper the pizza, eat the pizza in moderation, fit it into your goals, and build the body that you want while being able to fit it in here and there, or give you the taste, or give you the things that you would like to enjoy and have. I mean, obviously, if you eat pizza 6 times a day, then you're not going to necessarily build the body you want either. There's a balance with it all. But when you come to the place where you're eating healthy, nutritious food, and you're able to give yourself some foods that you like too, in that balance, you're not craving the foods that you like constantly, like voraciously, like I was eating tilapia and broccoli 6 times. Like that was all I was consumed with. I would literally sit down with like recipe magazines, right? And I would be going through, I'm going to eat that when I'm done. I'm going to eat that when I'm done. I'm going to eat that when I'm done. And that was the only thing I could fixate on. That's not how you keep the body. That's not how you build the body. We want you to be able to know, oh, I could make that now. Or I could wait until I'm done with my diet and I could enjoy more of it. Either way, I can enjoy it. I don't have to wait, right? And that brings me to my second key. The first key, of course, is we don't want to diet any differently than you want to normally eat all the time. So we're not setting up that deprivation. Number 2 is we want to have an end date to your diet. A lot of people, when they approach weight loss, in their head, the diet ends when I build the dream body. The diet ends when I've lost 100 pounds. The diet ends when I can fit into X, Y, and Z pants, skirt, dress, outfit, whatever, right? And I have to keep dieting until I get to my goal. No, wrong. That is not how the pros do it. This was something very valuable that I picked up from the competitions that I did, the amateur bodybuilding competitions I did in my 20s, that has served me really well, because this is what the pros do. And I love this mindset. It changes everything because it makes things a lot more manageable. The pros, and what I mean by pros is I mean, like physique athletes, I mean like fitness models, I mean bodybuilders, anyone getting on stage, things like that. Even when they're not getting on stage, this is how they think. I've got 12 weeks into the beach, so I'm going to do a cut for 12 weeks. Whatever I get, but there's an end date to those 12 weeks. The maximum they tend to go is 16, because any more than that, your metabolism is really going to start to rebel from the diet. You're going to see diminishing returns. You're going to see less and less fat loss. Your body's just going to acclimate, and you're not going to really get much beyond that. And it's time to have a reset and to take a break, go back to maintenance calories, reset your metabolism, and then plan the next cut. Give your body some time to adjust back up so that when you cut again, it'll be sensitive and you'll be able to make more progress. So what they're doing is they're not saying, I need to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to diet till I get to 50. They're saying, I'm going to diet for the next 12 weeks, and we're going to see how much of the 50 pounds I can get off. And we're going to see how much body fat I can lose. To be honest, the pros aren't really thinking in terms of pounds. They're thinking in terms of body fat anyway. They don't care about the pounds. They care about the body fat. That's a whole nother discussion for another podcast. But this is how they think. They think in terms of the next 3 to 4 months. There's an end date. I'm going to diet. We're going to push through. We're going to get as much as we can. And then they plan out their diet based upon those 16 weeks, those 12 weeks. And what often happens, especially if they're going into a show, they definitely are doing this going into a show where they have to look their best, right? They're not going in dieting hard the entire time. They're starting like, okay, we're going to cut calories this much, just a little bit at first, because we want to preserve muscle and I don't want to get too hungry too fast. And so they've kind of got like their roadmap planned where we're going to start here with a lot of calories. Then when we get midway, we're going to start to do this. And then as we get closer to the show, we're going to get really aggressive. We're going to see where we're at. And if we have to go really hard for 4 weeks, we'll go hard for 4 weeks. They only spend 2 weeks eating tilapia and broccoli 6 times a day because they're pushing for that last, little bit over the show, instead of 6 months eating tilapia. I didn't do 6 months. I did 2 months eating. 2 months is enough eating tilapia and broccoli. Okay. Don't recommend. Don't try. So even though they're trying to get to extremes with the fitness shows, which do require more extreme actions, they're not doing it for months and months and months. They're doing it for like a couple weeks, couple days, peak week, things like that. And so they're timing out and they're planning out those 12 weeks and those 16 weeks. And they're not like going super hard or super perfectionistic necessarily on the front end, because they know that there's a limited amount of focus. There's a limited amount of energy. And, they've got to be smart about how they diet. You want to diet smarter not harder, which is why there needs to be an end date and a roadmap to how you do the diet instead of just fixating on, I can't eat pizza again till I lose 50 pounds. That's how the majority of people think and act in a diet. Well, I'm just going to cut out all carbs until I get to my goal weight. And then you get to the goal weight, you start eating carbs again, and you start bringing back the foods you weren't allowed to have. And now you want them, and you want them so voraciously because you weren't allowed to have them. And now they're more tempting. And now you're eating them and a lot more. And then the weight's coming back on because the water weight's coming back from not eating the carbs. And now I got to go back on the extreme diet again to get back to 50. And I don't know when this crazy cycle is going to end because I haven't planned any of it out. That's not how you want to approach your diet. So the 2 keys to success, these are the things I preach, these are the things I practice, these are the things I teach my private clients how to do, and it totally changes how they approach dieting and weight loss to the point where many of them say, I don't feel like I'm on a diet. That's how we want to think and feel when we're doing a diet. We want it to be short. We wanted to have an end date, no more than 16 weeks. That's 4 months. That's a long time, okay? My preference is 8. I've gotten to the point where when I diet, it's really no longer than 2 months, 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks. I'm on the longest diet I've had, I think, in like over a year right now. And I'm going into 12 weeks. I've made a lot of progress, but I'm ready for this thing to be done. But what happens is it helps you kind of get that last little push. I got 3 weeks left. I can do 3 weeks. But I'm not going to go crazy when the diet ends. I'm going to just slowly keep eating the way I eat, and I'm going to reverse back up to my maintenance calories. So I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I don't have to be quite so constrained and quite so focused, and I can kind of take some of the pressure off, but there's not going to be a huge change. I'm just going to let myself have a little bit more carbs and fat. I'm going to keep my protein the same, and I'm going to decide, well, do I want to do another cut in a couple months to see, and this is how you maintain your physique. This is how, like, after you finish a dieting phase, if you're like, I need to build some muscle, this is a great time to start building some muscle when you're eating a little bit more. So you want to plan out what you're wanting to achieve during these phases, and you're not wanting to make it totally extreme. That's why diet culture really hasn't served us. They haven't taught you the principles of how to actually lose fat and build a physique. It's just taught you, don't eat carbs, starve yourself until you get to your goal weight, and then you'll be happy. And then you just keep doing that indefinitely. They don't even tell you what to do when you get to your goal weight. You don't even know what to do when you get to your goal weight. They don't tell you that part, right? So no wonder people are yo-yoing and then dieting down and yo-yoing and so frustrated, not knowing how do people just effortlessly make this work. Well, I'm telling you, it's not effortless. It takes planning and practice, but this is how people make it look effortless. You keep the diet short. You keep the diet basically exactly as you normally would eat. Just what is a healthy you eating for the rest of your life? That's the question you have to answer. What does healthy eating look like for you for the rest of your life? You take that template, you create that template, and then you take that template and you say, okay, when I'm dieting, I'm eating 300 calories less than that. I'm eating, or whatever is right for you and your body. All of my calculations and stuff are always done customized to the person. So I'm not making a blanket recommendation. I'm just kind of giving an example of, okay, well, if I want to lose a pound a week and I need to eat 2,500 calories to maintain my weight, then I need to be eating 1,800 calories to lose a pound a week of fat, right? So now I know where I need to adjust to, how long I'm going to diet for. So we have that end date. It's not a punishment forever. My brain's not going, when can we be done? My brain knows that day on the calendar, I'm just going until there. You can make it, you can do it. And then I can take all my focus on my energy into staying compliant, giving it my best, because I know it's only 8 weeks. It's only 2 months. It's only 3 months or whatever. And I know that we're going to end it. It's going to be cut off. It's not going to be forever. And I'm going to enjoy a little bit more cookies at night or a glass of wine here and there, or not worry about eating an extra side of cake or whatever, right? Because I'm going to be going back to maintenance calories. But I'm not losing everything that I lost when I was in the diet phase because I'm still eating the same way I was eating on a diet. I've just calculated how to give myself a little bit more so my body can rest. And then I'm constantly alternating from time to time between the phases of maintenance and then a little bit of a cut, maintenance, a little bit of a cut. But your body's not going into this extreme high, low diet, eat nothing, eat no carbs. Now eat everything in sight. Diet, eat nothing, eat no carbs, eat everything in sight. That's what creates the yo-yo. That's actually what makes you fatter. That's actually what tells the body and signals the body to start packing on more and more fat after the diet is over, because you're going to these extremes. That's why I like to think of it in terms of the same types of tools that you would think of your budget, right? Think of the fat loss phase as if you're getting out of debt or something, right? You still have the same money coming in, but now we're going to cut back in this area and we're going to send more of the money over here to get out of debt. Well, that's kind of what we're doing with food. We're saying, okay, we still have 2,500 calories needed for maintenance, but instead of spending all 2,500 calories, we're going to only spend 1,800 and we're going to send the rest out into debt. It's the same idea. It's the same principle. And then when you're done getting out of debt and you're like, oh, this is great. What do we want to do now with this? Well, I'm now going to take these extra 500 calories and I'm going to go on vacation. It's called going to get some frozen yogurt. It's called crumble cookie. It's called Cheesecake Factory. I don't know, whatever. Then we get to decide what to do with those extra calories, and we can still make the decisions we need, but we're not like going crazy. It's not like somebody who's like, oh, I got out of debt. Now I've got the credit card. Let's go charge it up again. I mean, the way people diet, I don't know how else to really kind of paint the picture, but it would be the same way as if you get out of debt, you pay everything off, and now you're like, all right, credit cards are clear. Let's go charge them back up. And now you're going to go charge them back up and get back into debt, right? Like no discipline. I'm not going to manage my money. I'm going to eat everything in sight. I'm going to spend them back up again. And then they go, oh, crap. I just maxed out my credit cards again. Now I got to go totally cut everything out and not spend, not eat, not do the thing. And then they're cutting them all back. And they do this over and over again. No wonder it feels impossible, because that's no way to live. You wouldn't do that with your money. I hope you wouldn't do that with your money. Please don't do that with your money. Don't do it with your food either. It's the same principle. It's kind of the same thing. Currency is energy. Food is energy. It's all just empowerment, right? Food empowers our body to live. Money empowers us to be able to spend and do things economically, right? It's the same principle for both, which is why we need to think in terms of managing the calories, managing our diets, instead of thinking in terms of diet culture, which is don't eat, move a lot, now eat everything, don't eat, now you're allowed to eat, like red and green. It's not like that. We need to have a template for eating. We need to know how healthy eating looks all the time for us, so that whether we're dieting or not, we're still eating consistently the same, because we care about our bodies and we want to give our bodies the best so that we can function at our best, just in general, right? And then when we are dieting, we're just cutting back a little bit. We're cutting back and we're getting to a goal, and then we have an end date. We know it, and it's not when you get to your goal, it's 12 weeks from now, 16 weeks from now. We see where we're at, and then we plan where we need to go from there. And those are the two keys to successful dieting. If you start to implement those two keys, I promise you it will change your experience, and it'll actually change the way your body looks. There are tools that you can utilize for the rest of your life to be able to build the physique of your dreams. And if you're listening to this, having some light bulb moments, but you're still kind of like, how does this work? How do I connect the dots? I've got some questions about some stuff. Would love to be able to answer some of your questions. You're always welcome to go to my website, and you can book a free one-on-one strategy call with me. It's about 30 minutes. Just go to getfitwithangela.com and you'll see the place to just go ahead and book your free call, and it'll pop up a link to my calendar, and we can talk more so that we can figure out what's the missing link for you? What's the piece that you need so you can get off this crazy dieting, all or nothing, back and forth kind of a way of thinking, and make it something that I know how to manage and I know how to do for the rest of my life without having to live in these extremes. And of course, I would love to hear your comments, your feedback, your thoughts on any of this. You're always welcome to leave a comment below or reach out to me or email me, which you can do at my website, getfitwithangela.com as well. I hope this has been helpful. At least I hope it's kind of made you think a little bit and made you kind of take a step back from normal dieting practices and see the difference in how approaching it from this other angle could make for you versus just having this all or nothing. I'm not allowed to eat. I just need to suffer until I get to my goal weight. and then constantly going through this yo-yo. It's time to stop the yo-yo. Yo-yo's not getting you anywhere. All or nothing's not getting you anywhere. It's time to change your mindset when it comes to diet. It can be so much easier. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you for hanging out. Until next time.